Good morning to all. I'm Sumitra, Associate Professor in Triple Department, R&D Engineering College. And this semester, I'm handling renewable energy sources for 7 semesters triple students. Uh, Let us go to the subject directly. So, from the name itself, it is very clear this subject is going to be purely deals with energy sources. And coming to the classification, first of all, we should know how the energy sources are getting classified. So we have different types of classification, like based on the usability of energy, it is getting classified as primary and secondary, and based on the traditional use, it is getting classified like conventional and non-conventional, and based on long-term availability, it is classified like renewable and non-renewable, and based on the commercial application where it is fetching its use, it is classified as commercial energy sources, non-commercial energy sources, and based on the origin where it has been developed, it is getting classified like fossil fuels, nuclear, hydro, solar, wind, biomass, geothermal, tidal, ocean energy, etc. So right now we have different types of energy sources, right? When talking about the primary and the secondary energy sources, we all know that the resources which is available readily in the nature in a raw form are called primary sources. Examples for such sources we can say like fossil fuels like coal, oil and gas, uranium, hydropower, etc. So whereas secondary sources are obtained from the primary energy sources by means of processing, right? So this processing helps in the transformation of primary resources into secondary or into any usable energy form, right? So that the consumers can be utilized according to their wish. For example, we can say an example of secondary resources like steam, water, petrol, diesel, CNG, electricity, everything. And then coming to the conventional and non-conventional resources that has been used traditionally for many years are called as conventional energy sources, whereas the resources which are remaining as alternate energy sources to the conventional or called non-conventional one. Okay, so example for conventional called coal, petrol, diesel, nuclear, etc. And whereas for non-conventional we have solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, biogas, etc. Then coming to the main classification on which this subject is lying over here is the renewable and non-renewable energy sources. So from the name itself, it is very clear. Renewable and non-renewable. Renewable is the energy which is obtained from the sources that are essentially inexhaustible, or you can say the resources which can be renewed by nature again and again, can be replenished by itself, right? So we are not supposed to make use of any external process for regenerating the thing. It is done by means of nature itself. The most important feature of renewable energy is that it can be harnessed without the release of any harmful pollutant. So example, we can say wind power, solar power, geothermal, etc. And then coming to the non-renewable resources, these are the one which is available in certain finite quantity, right? And cannot be replenished upon non-renewable energy sources. And then so now these are the non-renewable energy sources. At the same time, by using some fossil fuels and all, we have so many environmental consequences in our day-to-day life. Main thing is why we are getting some environmental consequences is that when we are going for the conversion of energy from one form to the another, obviously it will affect the environment, right? While considering the impact of energy on the environment, without considering the impact of energy on the environment, the study of energy is never fetch a good result. That is, a study of energy is not going to get completed. Okay, so we all know that during the combustion of fossil fuels, the emitted pollutions are strongly responsible for the smoke, gases, and acid rain, global warming, and it results in a lot of climatic changes and all, right? So now we need to concentrate what are the air pollutants, major air pollutants, and where they are arising from. So some of the major air pollutants are the carbon monoxide, and which is a colorless, odorless gas that is produced by the incomplete burning of carbon-based fuels, including the petrol, diesel, everything. Right. Next one is the carbon dioxide. Next one is the carbon dioxide. This is the principal greenhouse gas emitted, which is as a result of the human activities such as burning of coal, oil, etc. And then chlorofluorocarbons, and these are all the gases that are released mainly from air conditioning system. Mainly from air conditioning system. Okay, so we are just talking about what are the fossil fuels. So why we what are all the things which are getting arised because of the usage of the fossil fuels, etc., which is coming under your non-renewable energy sources. Okay, while considering that environmental impact only, we have the major air pollutants like carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, etc. And then again, your lead. It is obviously present in petrol, diesel, lead batteries, paints, dye products, and it also affects majorly children in particular, and it can also cause some nervous system damage and digestive problems also. Then coming to the next thing called ozone, right, where it will occur naturally in the upper layer of the atmosphere. The important gas shields the earth from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun, right? Because of the vehicle exposure and industry exposures, these sources are affecting the ground level because of the ozone emission. So, ozone, the dead effect of ozone, the main impact of the ozone, it will make our eyes itching, burning. Everything. It also lowers our resistance to colds and pneumonia. The next air pollutant is the nitrogen dioxide, and this will cause the smoke and acid rain. And why it is produced means it is produced because of burning fuels, which includes the petrol, diesel, and coal, etc. And then sulfur dioxide also, it's one of the major pollutants we consider. And this gas is getting produced because of burning coal, that too particularly in the thermal power plants. Right, some industrial process like production of paper and smelting of metals also results in the production of sulfur dioxide. So now, because of these things, we have a vital problems caused in our environmental, like acid rain. Acid rain, what do you mean by acid rain? So acid rain is a term which is used to describe all forms of acid precipitation, right? When the atmospheric pollutants, particularly speaking about the oxides of sulfurs and nitrogen, we all know that it will cause precipitation, which will become more acidic when it is getting converted to the sulfuric and nitric acids, right? So that's why the term is called acid rain. And we all know that the motor vehicles contribute more to the SO2 emissions, and the sulfur dioxide and the nitric oxide, which in turn react with the water vapor and other chemicals in the atmosphere in the presence of sunlight to form this acids and all. Okay. Even though the soil is capable of neutralizing a certain amount of acid, the power plant which uses the high sulfur coal pollutes many lakes and rivers in industrial areas, so which can't be stopped, right? Even we are taking certain measures, pollutants from the industries is going to affect the lakes and the rivers to a certain extent only because of this acid rain. Right, and then next environmental issues, the depletion of the ozone layer. We all know that the development of the ozone layer protects us from the harmful rays of the sun, that is harmful radiation from the sun to the earth, right? And so the natural buildup of oxygen in the atmosphere is nothing but the ozone layer, and we all know that it is lying about 19 to 30 kilometers above the ground level, right? So the function of the ozone layer is to filter out the incoming radiation from the sun, which will act as harmful to the living beings on the earth, right? It plays a natural and equilibrium maintaining role for the earth through the absorption of ultraviolet radiation and absorption of infrared radiation. Okay, so all these things results in global warming and climatic changes, otherwise known as greenhouse effect. Whereas the greenhouse effect is a process by which the radiative energy leaving the planetary surface is absorbed by some atmospheric gases called the greenhouse gases, right? So the greenhouse effect is also experienced on the Earth in a larger scale, and which is nothing but the warming up of the solar energy during the day, and it cools down at the night by radiating parts of its energy to the deep space, infrared radiation, etc. So it also makes the human life on the planet Earth feasible by keeping the Earth warm at about 30 degrees, and also it will cause the average temperature of the Earth to rise, and climate changes are generally taking place at that localities. Okay, so these are all the effects of a global warming and greenhouse effect. So in the next class, I will be discussing with the significance of renewable energy system in detail.